It's the Roughnecks at the Stallions. Birmingham, just a enormous favorite here. 16 points, the highest I can remember at any spring football league. Over under is 43, which is hilarious. You think odds makers saying 16 for Birmingham, but over under 43. That shows you the kind of respect they have for Houston's offense. First meeting was a 32-9 pounding in week 5. Forecast for Protective Stadium looking like 70 and some scattered thunderstorms. Always going to have that in the deep south this time of year. 60% chance of rain. Let's focus on the Birmingham offense, who I don't expect to sit any starters on a scale, like across the board, all 22. I know they've already clinched a playoff berth, but this streak is priority. This is an opportunity for them to do 15 straight wins in front of the home crowd in prime time. That matters to Skip Holtz and that bunch. It would be a very special night if they could get to 15 straight and just keep building from there. Just kind of doing some quick math. I don't think they will have the chance to get to 20 because I think they only have 3 or 4 games after this. But 15 would be the number this season. I'm sort of done trying to project when Matt Corral might get his opportunity to start. We've tried to do it earlier in the season, and TPG and I took a pretty big swing and a miss on that. So I'm going to wait for the depth charts to come out. If it was up to me, which it never will be, Matt Corral would start this game. Adrian Martinez, nothing left to prove, even on film. At this point, I think he's a lock to get an invite to NFL training camp and probably make a roster. Definitely practice squad, if not the 53-man. After his last few starts, the last thing you need is for Adrian Martinez to get hurt while you're chasing a third straight championship. This is a very hard-hitting Houston defense with some guys who pose a problem for Adrian in the open field, and you do not want to see him go down. He had to use his legs pretty often in the first meeting back in week 5, as you're seeing here. If you're with us on YouTube on the highlights, and really regardless who the trigger man is for Birmingham, I do expect a bit of a hangover offensively. Now, don't jump down my throat. I know I've been getting all this flack from the Stallions fans all season, and it's probably well-deserved. When I say that, I don't mean they're going to go 0 for 7 in the red zone. I don't mean Martinez is going to throw a bunch of interceptions or, they're going to score 14 points. I just mean a little bit of a step back from their standard, as teams do tend to have a little bit of a hangover in spots like this. And it really seems like all the top teams in the UFL have had a hangover against Houston. You think about St. Louis, struggled a bit offensively against them. We just saw San Antonio have to rally from behind. So Houston likes to ugly it up. They're just that team that you come out kind of sleeping against, and they give you a little bit more of an effort on defense. I don't know. They probably won't even hold Birmingham to under 25, but even by their standard, that would be less than average. Roughnecks, third against the run, and their tops overall at 3.2 yards per carry allowed. So they do match up pretty well against the running backs here. I don't think you can do anything to stop the quarterback running. But against Marable in person, I do have a little more faith in the Houston defense than I would against, say, a Memphis or an Arlington. I was impressed at how the Roughnecks suffocated John Lovett. That was a great performance from them. He has been the top rusher in the league. They held him to just 37 yards on the ground and 2 yards per carry. So Chris Wilson has some things going right on that side of the ball. People forget that even if it is Matt Corral, he can burn as well. I know we're ranting and raving about that 3rd and 16 scramble and against St. Louis that Martinez had that really saved the game. My UFL play of the year so far, one of the most impressive plays we've seen. But Matt Corral did something very similar against the DC defenders in the rain on a 3rd and 11 to ice that game. So if it's Corral, I still expect a bit of a run threat. I think Reuben Foster is a guy who is critical to this Houston defense, and he has not been practicing this week, so that could be trouble. Although Chris Odom has been an absolute force, leading the UFL in tackles for loss and forced fumbles. He's going to be a lock when it comes to all UFL selections. but I do give an edge to the Birmingham offense, obviously. Let's look at the Houston offense against the Stallions D. This is why it's going to be an automatic under bet for me. That's really becoming any Roughnecks game, no matter who they play. I don't care. Houston is 6-1 to the under on the season. Last week against San Antonio, 39.5, and it still cashes easily, without a doubt. Even if you had overtime in that game, you were hitting the under. Here's the Roughnecks scoring output the last 4 games. 9, 9, 8, 12. What are we doing? I mean, it's a disaster. For some perspective, they haven't scored 100 points this season. Arlington just put up half 100 in one game last weekend. Houston, 13.7 points per game, 9 touchdowns through 7 games. I don't know what they were trying to attempt with Jarek Arantano last week, but he was clearly hurt the entire game. And this type of season and this type of situation is not worth re-injuring your wrist as a quarterback. That's not been healed. They had some drives where they moved the ball, and I was actually a little impressed with Garantano and what he was able to do, but they can't get in the end zone. They settled for 4 field goals against San Antonio, and they blew the game again because they didn't have enough points to stave off a comeback. The offensive line is terrible. They're the most penalized unit in the UFL, just an automatic false start every drive. They give up 6 sacks last week, and they can't spring the tailbacks with TJ Pledger and Mark Thompson. They don't give them any room. Thompson had 38 yards rushing last week. 36 of those came on one play. So really my point is, if you had those kind of problems offensively against San Antonio, it's not going to get any easier this week against Birmingham. At this point, I would probably just go back to Reed Sinnett. I mean, it seems to be the easy choice, right? This is not worth getting Garantano re-injured. The Roughnecks do have some decent playmakers at receiver. Justin Hall's a guy who I think will have a shot in the NFL. He plays his heart out even through the incompetence of this play calling that just hasn't worked. So really, I mean, Birmingham's defense should have a field day. They were able to get a ton of different guys on the field back in week 5 when this thing was way out of hand in the second half, and they still held Houston, I think, 0 points in the second half. I expect much of the same here. Great news for Stallions fans. Looks like they're going to get 2 starters back that were actually hurt against St. Louis, and was a lot of the reason why I thought the Battlehawks would have success offensively. DeMarcus Gates and Lorenzo Burns, 2 leaders on that side of the ball, both expected to be back. It's just insane how this team has found a way to win. Stallions are the pick here for me, Zook. I think they're going to win their 15th straight. They go to 8-0. I would enjoy seeing Matt Corral get a full game from wire to wire here, but I think whether it is Martinez or Corral, or, you could even put Jamar Smith in there for all I care. I don't care who the quarterback is. I love the under in this situation. Who do you got?
This is pretty easy. I'll put it on screen right away. I got the ponies. I mean,